What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Agents to Owners podcast. It is always a pleasure to spend some time with this next guest. This is a man that's helped so many agents and gives so much back to the industry. Founder of Williams Family Investment Group, president of Inspire a Nation Business Mentoring, and now author of Sales Objection Pocket Guide, the one and only Dr. Billy Williams. Welcome to the show.
Good morning,
sir.
Brad. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Excited to sit down with you as always. You always bring so much energy and insight. So I'm looking forward to today. So we're going to get right into it. As I know you like to do, and most everybody knows who you are, where you come from. So we don't need to get into all that.
Okay.
So let's talk about your most recent venture. But first of all, I'd like to know the why behind why you write this book of the best responses to overcome sales objections pocket guide.
Okay. Well, there's three reasons. Number one, I started a commercial insurance agency with my kids last year. And so they, not being from a sales background, they didn't know what to say. They didn't know how to overcome rejection. They didn't know how to overcome objections. And so I started writing it out saying, well, no, here's what you say in this situation. Here's how you say it in this situation. I went back to my sales training days, being a military recruiter, doing all that stuff. And so as I started to write it out, I broke it down by position. When you're doing your appointment setting, here are the things you're going to face, because there are 5 main areas in our prospecting sales cycle where we hit objections and rejections, right? And so number one is when you're trying to contact someone. So they needed to know, hey, I'm contacting you. You're a cold person. What do I say when you say I'm not interested? Or I've already got that. Or I'm already working with somebody. Or I've done, what are some of the things that I can say? Then the second time is when you have to leave a voicemail. So I didn't get you, but I want you to respond to me. So I have to leave a voicemail. So, that's the second time. And then the third time is I finally got you. We've talked, but now I need to get information from you. And you don't want to give me information. So how do I overcome that? And then the fourth time is I got the information. I'm working on your quote. I got it all together, but now you won't call me back. I keep reaching out to you, but you won't follow up. You won't call me back. And then the final time is when I'm actually sitting down to close the sale. So I want to make sure that they understood those 5 objection, rejection areas and what some of the responses were for that. And then this took me back to my old military days about overcoming objections, making sure you understand that you point out what their common action is going to be, what their consequences are for taking that common action, what your benefit is going to be to overcome that consequence. And then finally, can I continue this conversation with you? So I went back to my sales objection days and just kind of wrote a book. And then what I realized as I started to do this and I started to share it with my partners and I started to share it with people I know, everybody was like, oh my God, give me a copy of that. As soon as it comes out, as soon as that book comes out, make sure I get a copy. So it came out October 30th, I think I want to say.
Okay.
We've sold recently 6,000 copies.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
6,000 copies, because it's not just for the insurance industry. That's another thing. I wanted to branch out beyond just the insurance industry. So this is for sales for anybody in any industry. If you're selling anything, we will have something in there that you can utilize to overcome objections and rejections. So that's what started it all.
Yeah. So you identified that problem and said, well, this isn't just my kids. This is something that you see all the day. You see you work with so many different agencies. So.
Well, not just that, Brett, but I'm not knocking technology.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not. I know everyone thinks Billy's anti-technology. I'm not.
No.
It's just technology is one of the 4 types of staff that work in your agency. There are always 4 staff in your agency: processes, technology, automation, and people. And those 4 staff is part of a team that has to work together.
Yeah.
So processes are like your general manager. They lay out the flow of what should happen, whether it's endorsement, claims, policy review, birthday, whatever, doesn't matter. Processes lay out, here's the way it's supposed to look. And then from their processes, okay, how does my technology fit in the process. Technology does not create a process. Technology should be a part of a process. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's automation. What automation or what automated pieces work in this technology that work in this process? And then how do my people manage the process, the technology, and the automation? And so part of what I run into is that people have forgotten how to sell. We don't. We think selling is sending a bunch of emails. That's not selling. We think selling is sending a text message. That's not selling. That's a conversation. It's a communication, but it's not the sales process. It's just part of the communication process that leads to sales. And there are people who say, well, I've sold policies and never talked to the person, but you had to ask for the sale in the email or in the text message or in the whatever. You had to show some value so the person would agree to buy. So that was still sales. And so what I realized is that most people don't know how to send an email that closes. They don't know how to send an email that overcomes an objection. They don't know how to send a DM that overcomes an objection. So in the book, I write out all those different things. I call it PETS V squared. P, you and I talked about this, I think, on our last podcast.
Yeah.
PETS V squared. Phone, email, text message, social DM, video, voicemail. And you should know how to sell through any of those different methods.
Can you run through that one more time, please?
Yeah, PETS V squared. It's phone, email, text message, social DM, like you and I tend to talk most of the time on LinkedIn, right? We're DMing.
Yep.
Then there's voicemail and video. I should be able to overcome an objection. I should be able to sell. I should be able to answer your questions. I should be able to show value. I should be able to explain consequences using any of those. My phone scripts, my email templates, my text message templates, my social DM scripts, my video scripts, my voicemail message. I should be able to show value in any of those if I know the formula for showing value.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now let me give you the formula for showing value. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Value has 4 components. It's features, benefits, consequences, and price. That's what makes up value. Features, benefits, consequences, and price. So let's put it in a real term. Let's say, and I won't even use insurance. Let's say I'm selling a car. I should say, here are the features of this car. And here are the benefits when you have these features, heated seats or, whatever it is, you backup cameras, whatever I'm using as my feature, right? And here are the benefits to that. We know accidents are down 60% when people have a backup camera. So you definitely want a car with a backup camera. We know that accidents are down 40% when people have that little notification on their rear view mirror that tells you there's someone in your blind spot. So you always want this feature because of this benefit. The consequence is if you go out and you spend less money and you don't get this feature, now you're 40% more likely to have an accident.
Yes.
Now you're 60% more likely to have a rear end. You're backing up and you're going to have an accident. So I explain the consequences. Now, for this, you got to pay something. This is not going to be the roll down window model. Okay. You're going to have to pay a little bit more money. But here's why you're paying this money: because of these features, benefits, and the possible consequences. This is the price. That is the combination for value. And that's what agents have gotten away from. Not just agents, because I have friends who sell carpet cleaning services and they sell construction and they sell, concrete companies and they sell whatever. And they're saying the same thing. Our people can't sell. They just don't know how to add value to things.
Okay, so how do we add this value to our email and our text and our DMs?
By pointing out those things. So let's say I was sending you an email for insurance and you are a general contractor. First and foremost, the subject line, there are always 3 elements to a subject line that make people want to click on that subject line. First element, I need to show an immediate benefit.
Yeah.
Immediate within my subject line. That's the first element. That's one of the three elements. So 3 different ways I can approach a subject line. So I need to show an immediate benefit. Number 2, I need to point out an immediate problem, right? An immediate problem. And then number 3, I need to ask you to take an action. So my subject line can do one of those 3 things. Doesn't matter, doesn't combine all 3. It's one of those 3. So if I'm using a general contractor, my subject line might say, your upcoming renewal, and I'm putting the date, your upcoming 1/16/2024 renewal is going to cost you money. And that's my subject line.
Good one. Which was what I'm going to ask. Our subject line has to be, it's got to be eye-catching.
Well,
right?
It's got to have those 3 elements. Remember, everything's a science to me.
Yeah.
It's not willy-nilly. If I can't repeat it, it's not scientific. That's what makes it scientific. Yeah. I can repeat it. So I can look at that subject line and go, it has to have one of these 3 elements. It has to have an immediate benefit, point out an immediate problem, or ask you to take an action. So your upcoming renewal is going to cost you money.
So, and that's going to look at, somebody's going to look at that and say, oh, I got to read this. What?
Right.
You know what I mean?
One of our best subject lines for like personal lines, because I know you're into home, so this is specific to you. Okay. Yeah. Our best opening subject line is, your neighbor's home insurance is cheaper than yours.
Yeah, ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
So
let's touch on the importance of your PETS V squared and why we need to use all of these.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, because everyone's distracted. You don't know how they're going to communicate.
Yeah.
So your thing may be calls. You may be, hey, I hired an appointment setter and they're going to make 80 outbound calls. But the people they're calling, that may not be their primary mode of communication. Right. It may be text messaging. It may be email. It may be social media. Who you don't know. No. So instead of guessing, I'm going to use all 3. And what we've discovered, Brad, is that it takes 11 outreaches of various types to actually get to someone most of the time. So when I say 11, meaning I may have to call you 3 times. I may have to email you twice. I may have to social DM you twice. You know, I may have to send you 2 videos before you even comment. I may have to put a video link in the text message if I have the ability to text message you. So even with all that outreach, it doesn't mean that you're going to pick up the phone and call me back immediately, because you have your own priorities. You have things you're taking care of. Your job is to avoid the insurance conversation. My job is to make you have the insurance conversation. So you're busy avoiding and I'm busy chasing, but I don't know how to chase you.
And we have to search to find out where you're at. And it could be a Facebook Messenger. We don't know. I mean, to your point. So how, is there a number you have in mind for each one of these when you're chasing down a prospect?
Well, this is really interesting. We have division of work in our group, in our agencies, right? And I'm going to talk about just my agency specifically, because a lot of my partners still have not bought into what I'm trying to tell them, even though we're growing a commercial agency where we're writing almost $1 million a month. Wow. So they're seeing the results. They're knowing that it's happening, but they still can't change their mindset. So, and that's $1 million a month in premium, not $1 million a month in revenue. Okay. But we're also going after big deals. So that makes a big difference. But so our division of work is, number 1, I hire appointment setters. Mm-hmm. My appointment setters are not my CSRs. My appointment setters are not my licensed sales producers. My appointment setters are my appointment setters. And so their job is very simple. You follow up using PETS V squared. Once you get the person, you gather information. Once you gather the information, you schedule the appointment for the next handoff, which is a CSR, a licensed sales producer, someone who's licensed, who's going to sit down. So my appointment setters, they don't have any other task other than scheduling appointments.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not caught up in the I don't have time. I got busy
Yeah.
with Miss Jenkins. Mr. Johnson came in and needed an ID card. Mrs. Barbara's policy went up 22% and she needs me to talk about that.
Yeah.
My appointment setters are my appointment setters. That's
Yeah.
all they do. They work from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Monday through Thursday. They don't work on Fridays.
Okay.
So having that division of work makes everything easier, because now my appointment setters, they will make 15 attempts. They will make 20 attempts. They will send out, they'll spend 3 days chasing somebody because that's all they do.
Yeah, but they're working off a dedicated list, right? So they're not picking up the phone book. This is probably something that is
we buy leads.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we buy leads, we get referrals, we get X dates, we
Okay.
use X dates, we buy telemarketing leads, we buy age
Okay.
leads. We're primarily commercial.
So they're not cold calling. Not really.
But it's almost like a cold call. Like if I'm calling off of let's say Insurance X dates. That's a cold call. Yes, I know when you're coming up for renewal. I know what your workers' mods are. I know what company you're with. I got a lot of information about you, but you have no clue who the hell I am. Yeah. So that's a cold call, which means that immediately once they get that person on the phone, they have to establish value. They have to immediately say, look, I was giving an example earlier and we kind of got thrown off.
Yeah.
So our value statement, or one of the things we would say is, hey, Tom, this is Billy with Williams Family Investment Group. We see your insurance is coming up for renewal on 1/16/2024, and you're a contractor. And so this is where we get into this. Let me just break this down because people need to understand there's a formula to this. So there's a common prospect action. This is real important. This is when you're establishing your value. It's almost like your elevator pitch. Okay, my elevator pitch. My elevator pitch is going to have 4 components. Number 1, I'm going to point out a common prospect action. Number 2, I'm going to point out a consequence of that action. Number 3, I'm going to point out how I'm going to benefit you to overcome that consequence. And then number 4, I'm going to ask for permission to keep talking. So now I'm back to being an appointment setter, right? Hey, Brad, we know you're a contractor. You're coming up for renewal on 1/16/2024. Most contractors get so busy that they don't take any time to look at their insurance. So they just let it automatically renew with whatever agent or whatever program they're currently under. And that could cost you thousands of dollars by not having a second opinion.
Yeah.
So the way that I help is by being so efficient that we can reduce 90% of the time that you would spend reviewing and doing all that stuff. We've got a lot of information on you. So we can knock out 90% of the time you would probably dedicate to this and get stuff done for you. I just need permission to sit down with you to get 10 minutes and get your information. So now let's look at that. Common prospect action. Most contractors don't dedicate any time to review their insurance. So they wait till the last minute and they just automatically renew with their current carrier or their current agency. That's the CPA, the common prospect action. The consequence of that is that they end up spending thousands of dollars that they don't need to spend, or they don't get a second opinion to see if there are other coverages or opportunities that are out there that are in their best interest. Consequence of the common prospect action.
Yeah.
How do I benefit you? Because I'm so efficient. We're so good at what we do. We can knock out 90% of that time that you would spend reviewing and looking over paperwork and doing all that. We can knock out 90% of that because we do this so well. That's my benefit. But what I need is 10 minutes of your time to get the information I need in order to give you that benefit. Are you available Tuesday? Are you available Thursday? What day works best for you?
But you're hitting all the things that are, one, it's spot on with that group in particular. No, they are not going to take the time to in most cases.
It's not just that group. It's every group.
Yeah.
Everybody has a common prospect action.
Yeah.
If I were a shoe salesperson and you walked in or I were trying to telemarket you, or you walked in my shop, I would say, well, you know, most people who come in here looking for shoes, they probably come in looking for dress shoes, work shoes, or just casual shoes. But they get so overwhelmed by the volume of shoes that we have, and they're so afraid to talk to a salesperson who can break that down for them, that they end up buying shoes that aren't in their best interest.
Yeah.
The way I can benefit you is, instead of trying to hard sell you, give me some information. Let me go ahead and tell you what's in your best interest, and then you know what to look for when you're in our shop. So, Brad, it's not about insurance. It's sales.
Right. Yeah. So I want to back up a little bit about the book, and I'd like to kind of get into the weeds.
Okay.
About if I am going to buy this, pocket guide, kind of walk me through, the guts of the book. We obviously already discussed a fair amount. What can I expect?
It's so simple. It's
simple. I know it's always simple. That's what I like about you. But it's simple, but it's spot on.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's walk me through the book.
So the pocket guide is broken down. The beginning of it is 5543. Just remember those numbers: 5543, and then from there, everything else is examples. So what I didn't want to do was write a literary book where I'm explaining every detail of why we're doing this and giving you the thought process behind it, and because I feel like most people are too overwhelmed for that. Just give me what I need. Tell me where to go. Tell me how to find it. So we have one chapter that explains the 5543, the 5 goals of a response. That's the first thing. What are the 5 goals of a response? The next 5 is, what are the 5 main objections that I'm going to face? Right? The 5 times I'm going to face objections. 4 is, what are the 4 elements of establishing value, which is what I just talked about.
Yes.
Right? And the 3 is, what are the 3 elements of a good subject line? So right up front, I'm telling you, look, everything that we're giving you in this book follows the 5543 system. And then from there, everything is exact. So you get a response, I'm not interested. Here are the 12 main responses to I'm not interested, broken down in our 5543 system. Here, I'm already working with.
Let's hear some of those responses. Just a few of them.
Well, then I got to go to my book.
Okay. Oh, we don't have. That's fine. I don't want to interrupt you. Yeah.
But so in that particular case, so we give you 12, 13, 15. I'm not sure how many of our best responses when someone says, I'm not interested. When someone says, I'm already working with somebody, so I'll use I'm not interested. Well, I'm not interested in your product or service. So let me ask you a question. Is it that you're not interested, or is it not a priority right now? Because there's a difference between interest and priority. There's a difference between importance and priority. So I can mark my notes. Now, remember, this is my appointment setter. This is not my CSR. This is not my licensed sales producer. This is my appointment setter saying, just so I can mark my notes and make sure that we know, is it that it's not important at all to you that you get insurance, or that you get a second opinion of insurance, or is it not important right now? Well, I'm already working with somebody. Okay. So you're already working with somebody. So in working with that person, is it important that you don't want a second opinion? You don't want to know if there's other options. You don't want to know if you can save money. You don't want someone to sharpshoot that. You're comfortable exactly where you are. You don't want anything to do with anything else. Well, I might want a second opinion. Okay. So then it's not that it's not important. It's just not important right now. Well, when will it be important? Let me call you closer to the day when you'll actually put importance on looking at your insurance, so that, we're kind of on the same table here. When do you renew? When does your insurance come up for renewal? Now, we already know it because we have the insurance X dates, but when does your insurance come up for renewal? I think it's sometime in January or February. Well, no, actually it's January 16th because we've already done our research. We kind of know you're with Texas Mutual. You come up January 16th. So about how far out do you start looking before you actually renew your insurance? Well, I usually just let my agent handle that. And that's part of why we're calling, because companies that just let their agent handle it, they tend to end up paying a lot more money because the agents a lot of times get busy and they just let it auto renew versus having a second opinion. You always want a competitor to sharpshoot your agent so that it's forcing them to do their job.
Yeah.
See, so these are things. Now, each one of those was a response that when we sit down and we start training our appointment setters, each one of those would fall under a different head. I'm not interested. Well, are you not interested, or is it just not important? I'm already working with somebody. There's a whole different set of responses for that. Well, I'm not sure when my insurance is coming up for renewal. There's a whole different set of responses for that. So the pocket guide is basically saying, here are the responses, and you could quickly just kind of go from, oh, they said this to they said this. Well, let me jump over here and see what some of my options are. Now, some people are using this real time where they're right there at their desk. They got it right there at their desk, and they're just flipping through because it's all broken down into the different rebuttals and objections. And then some people are using it as a training tool where they're saying, okay, here's some training on overcoming this objection or saying this or saying that. So I'm going back to my sales trainer mentality. Let me tell you another reason. I was talking with my financial advisor the other day, and he says, you know, Billy, you're far enough out that if you wanted to take early Social Security, you could. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I'm in the Social Security? Oh, hell. And it's true. I turned 62 November 28th. So what it kind of made me do, this was a few months back, what it kind of made me do was like, all right, Billy, you're at a point now. Do you want to keep doing what you're doing? Because I already told myself, you know, I was going to get to a point, hand this off to my kids. You know, my partners are all selling out. I'm figuring in the next 5 years, I might have 10 partners left because everybody's selling their agencies and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, what do I want to do when I get older, when I'm 65, when I'm 70? I don't want to keep selling insurance. What I want to do is I want to be a sales trainer because that's my heart, that's my soul, that's my spirit, that's what I am. So this is kind of my first foray into sales, switching my career into the sales trainer mode so I can share the knowledge, experience, and wisdom that I've picked up over all these 30 plus years, 40 plus years of selling something. Yeah. So, yeah, but the sales pocket guide, it's a simple, I think it's like 100 pages. I'm not sure what it is, but probably 5 pages of it are explanation and 95 pages of it are example conversations.
Yeah, so it's literally a pocket guide that you can have next to you or study. If you study it, it'll start to roll off your tongue.
Exactly.
For some of these objections.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, what you're seeing in a lot of our agencies now, and maybe some common themes that we could use some improvement. So let's stick on the selling. What are you seeing some of the holes in our selling game that can probably be easily improved?
Well, number one is lead flow.
Yeah.
Agents they think they're saving money by not buying leads, but they're not. They're really not. They should go ahead and let somebody else generate the leads for you. You know, like I think you're buying homeowners leads, right? Or you're doing Google ads to get your home leads, right? Well, somebody else is doing that for you. That's not you burning out Susie making cold calls.
No.
It's
people that have raised their hand and said, I'm interested in looking at my home insurance, whether that's, you know, they're by another company or inbound leads by digital marketing, whatever it is. We've identified people with interest.
Exactly. And so that's the first thing is I think agents are really hurting on their lead flow. And what's so sad is there are more prospects in the pool right now than ever
Agreed.
in the history
100%.
of insurance.
Agreed.
Ever. Because everybody's rates are going up. Everybody's guidelines are changing. Every carrier is doing different things. So everybody's shopping.
Yeah.
But agents are missing out on this window because they're busy relying on their referral partners. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah.
but there are more fish in the ocean than ever before. Why would you not go out fishing? It just doesn't make sense to me. Well,
Agreed.
part of the problems why you won't go out fishing is because who you have on your boat. You know, you got Susie, you got John, you got Tim, you got Joe, and they're so caught up in doing everything else. And then you're trying to make them into fishermen. And it's like, no, why don't you hire a separate boat or bring on new fishermen and then let John and Susie and Joe and Dave and whatever do what the hell they normally do. So one of the things that we've done that really is effective, and like I said, we have appointment setters. My CSRs do not set appointments unless they're talking to a customer, unless they're following up on a lead that was set for them and they need to follow up. But it is not their job to go out there and cold set up appointments. They don't call our renewal list. We have appointment setters that call our renewal list. They don't call the leads that we buy. I have appointment setters that call those leads because my appointment setters, that's their narrow niche. They are the offensive line. I don't have a quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, tight end hybrid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't. So
Yeah.
you're the offensive lineman. This is your job.
Yeah. Something you touched on, which I think does play into this, which we've just scratched the surface of, are you seeing that a lot of agencies are relying on technology too much?
It's ridiculous.
And that's a hole in the prospecting selling game. Like I think there was all this push to get automated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not offering value in that way. So do you think is that lazy?
I don't think it's lazy. I think people got caught up in the wash. I think they got caught up in the hype and the everything else. And, I was talking to an agent the other day and literally they sell renters insurance. Now, understand, they sell renters insurance.
Okay.
They had 9 touch points for renters insurance. Oh, it comes in the door. And then when it comes in the door, it goes into Slack. And then from Slack, it goes to my VA in the Philippines. And then from my VA in the Philippines, it comes back over here and it goes into this system. And then that system automatically tracks to see if this is real data, if the phone number is real. And then it goes over here. And then I'm like, why don't you just pick up the damn phone?
Yeah.
Just pick up the phone. Hey, you requested a renter's insurance quote. And so I think that people who are not salespeople, it's not think, it's no.
Yeah.
People who are not salespeople hide out in admin. Okay. People who are not salespeople hide out in admin. Technology is a new form of admin.
Yeah.
Remember what I said earlier. You have 4 staff working in your agency at all times: processes, technology, automation, people. If you're going to bring on technology, it should be because you know where it's going to fit in your process.
Yeah.
I think the big issue, you asked me what's the big problem, the big hole.
Yeah.
The big hole is people don't have written processes. They don't know where the handoffs are. Yeah. If I go to my local grocery store, there's a produce section, there's a canned food section, there's a meat section, there's a whatever, and each of those people do their job, and each of those people have their thing. They make up the total store. But there's also people out there getting buggies out of the parking lot. There's also people that are bagging up the foods. Everybody kind of knows their job, but that whole grocery store is a process.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a process. And then each piece of the process does its thing. Most agents don't have processes. So when they buy technology, they think the technology is going to create a process, not technology fits in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. With that, then on the servicing side, let's get specific, I guess.
Okay.
To me, To me, something that's been very important, especially in this market, is our renewal process.
Mm-hmm.
Can you offer your suggestion? I'll tell you what we're doing, and it's something we become very intentional on, and then you can give me some suggestions on that.
Okay.
We of course we have an automated message going out to every one of our home renewals. We
Good.
have a person that calls every one of our home renewals.
Okay, what you said, automated message going out. So you have a voicemail drop?
No. It's an automated email.
Okay, so we're going through Pets V Square, because what's going to find out is it's Pets V Square. So you have someone making a phone call.
You're making a phone call.
Making
Making a phone call. We do not review that household. It's basically an offer to review.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So and that's where we try to do that. Yeah, at least for sure. Yeah, we're at least 45 days out. You know of what we'll see.
So you want to discuss a rate increase.
We're open to it. I mean, I want to be proactive to it, and we want to identify coverage and coverage gaps, and of course we use that as an opportunity to cross sell and add an umbrella and all that sort of thing.
I would suggest that you go 60 days out instead of 45.
Sure.
Because at 45 they already have the renewal in their hand, and the only thing they want to talk about is renewals. At 60 days out, they can say, well, what's my renewal going to be? Well, I don't know. But let's go ahead and talk coverage. Let's talk consequences. Let's talk features and benefits, so that when it does come out, we know that you're already in the best position.
Yeah, agree. We're on, for example, today we're recording November 8th. We're on January. So it kind of depends where we are, in that. Normally we're pretty much able to stay, because we have a system and a process with it. We're able to stay 2 months in advance. And I have a person dedicated to this. So, excuse me, that's her job.
Okay, so you got phone, email. So
those
is always time, right? It's always standards, time, task, tools, training. So your standard is 60 days out or 45 days out? 45 days out.
We start 2 months out. So we start,
60 days out.
Yeah, we start there. It probably eases into 45, depending on how many reviews this person does, gets in the weeds.
But everything goes out on that 60-day mark. Now, actually how they follow up and when the people schedule and when you talk to them, that'll bleed into 45, 30, 15, 10. I mean, you don't know when that person's actually going to respond, but your system automatically sends out something at 60 days out.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
our phone call might not be there at that point, but it's getting close. It's probably
the email goes out.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. As long as something automatically goes out at 60 days out, whatever that is.
Now that is all that's all we have for our proactive, of contacting. And then it's, of course, doing those reviews for those that respond. So we don't have a, Pet V Squared for that. Mainly,
yes, you do. You actually do. You just haven't put the science behind it yet. So let's talk about that before we go any further, because I think we're going to lose people if we're not careful. So 60 days out, you start your notification.
Yeah.
You start with an email. That email should follow a specific value conversation. So your email subject line should say something like your 116 homeowners renewal appointment request, right? Well, because you're asking them, remember, there's always three things. You're asking them, you're showing immediate benefit, you're showing a problem, or you're asking them to take an action. So your subject line could say something like, schedule a review for your 116 appointment request.
Yeah.
Upcoming homeowners renewal.
Yes.
So schedule a review, because you're asking them to take an action. And then you go into the 4 elements, right? When I talk about your common prospect action, your consequences, your benefits that I'm going to overcome and then need to schedule. So your email might say something like, you're getting this email because you're coming up for renewal. Most people will not schedule an appointment. Remember, common prospect action. You're throwing it in their face. This is what 80% of the people who get this request will not schedule an appointment.
Yeah.
Right? You're letting them know up front. 80% of you that we're sending this to will not schedule an appointment. You will not let us review your policy. And the problem is, if something were to happen or something bad goes, you have a bad claim, you're going to blame it on us when we were doing our best to try to schedule an appointment with you. So to make this easy, here's my calendar link. It can be a phone meeting. It can be a video meeting. It can be whatever you want. It won't take much time. Go ahead and schedule with me. Now let's look at the elements. 1, did I have a subject line that made them want to click it open? Okay, so your 116 request to schedule a 116 homeowners renewal appointment, right? So I'm asking you to take an action. Next, common prospect action. 80% of the people that we ask to schedule a homeowners review won't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're sitting there going, oh shit, I'm part of that 80%, aren't I? Okay. And then you say, well, so that's your common prospect action. And the consequence is now we don't get a chance to review your policy. We don't know if you've got the coverage that's best for you right now. We don't know if this is if your rates are going to go up unexpectedly. We just don't know. So I'm pointing out whatever my consequence is. But the benefit is I'm making it really simple for you to be able to schedule an appointment with us. Really simple. Just use this link, schedule something, takes 10 minutes. We'll go from there. So remember what those 4 elements are: common prospect action, consequence, benefit, permission to keep talking. The way I'm asking you for permission to keep talking is schedule an appointment and let's continue this conversation. So you're using the pets. You just probably could tighten up the science within the pets.
Yeah. We do go one step further, really, for those households that we do not have an auto for. So our subject line is, you may be spending, no, it's not that long, but some of the effect of you're spending too much on your home insurance.
Right.
And then we do have an added text, which is a systematic process of phone calls and texts after that, because we want to cross-sell those accounts.
Right. So there's your pet. There's your PET.
Yeah, we use that. What would you suggest in this market for a renewal process?
That's a great renewal process.
Yeah.
Renewal process is really simple, guys. It is. Yeah. I'm going to communicate with you early enough to where I can talk to you and it not be about price. So if it's commercial, I'm going to start 120 days out because I don't know what your renewal is going to be.
Yeah.
If it's homeowners, I'm going to start 60 days out because I don't know what your renewal is going to be. That's going to dwindle down because not everybody's going to call me on the 59th day. Some people will never call me. But my process can flow into, day 0, whatever it is. So I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to reach out to you using multiple methods. The only thing that I did not hear you say there, I got the pets, phone, email, text. I don't know if you're sending a video. I don't know if you're putting a post out. I don't know if you've actually asked all your people to connect with you on social media. If you have a Facebook group for just your agency,
no,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the other thing I would add is if something out there, we do a monthly post. If you are scheduled for renewal and you have not scheduled your policy review, here's my link. Make sure that you schedule an appointment with our agency. And we put that as a post out on Facebook, LinkedIn, all those particular things, right? We just do a post that's out there. You'll be amazed. 30% of the people who schedule with us are not our clients, but we give them access to a link and they go, I see you guys always posting. You're always talking. You're always doing whatever. You think you guys will give me a quote on, I'm coming up for renewal. So again, it's just another avenue that's out there. So you're still using Pets V Squared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still using it. But the renewal process is in of itself. It's not rocket science. I'm going to communicate with you. I'm going to keep communicating with you and show you value. I'm going to ask you to schedule an appointment. During that appointment, I'm going to sit down and review your policies. I'm going to upsell, cross-sell. I'm going to point out your weaknesses. I'm going to point out all those particular things. And then we're going to keep moving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. 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 Hey, we are up against our time here. I want to thank you It's always,
Yeah, and we could continue this for another hour and a half. Guys, can I tell them where to get the book?
Let's do it. That's what I was just going to ask. Let's do it.
Go out and do a Google search for Sales Objection Pocket Guide, Billy Williams. Okay, Sales Objection Pocket Guide, Billy Williams. That's going to take you to Amazon. You can do it that way. That's the easiest way. I don't have a link. I don't have a fancy this. Just do a Google search for Sales Objection Pocket Guide, Billy Williams.
I'll put that in the notes as well. I'll put a link right in the notes. Thanks again, sir. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to the next time.
I know we tried to squeeze a lot into a little bit, and I know a lot of people are overwhelmed. Once you get the book will actually simplify kind of, because, I go deep into this stuff, but the book will simplify it for you. And, the main thing is make sure that when you're communicating in a system, not just throwing willy-nilly stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, I know it'll help. I know it'll help people, owners, producers. Absolute.
In the insurance industry, out of the insurance industry, doesn't matter.
So. Everyone else, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Agents to Owners podcast. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Brad.